Okay, this is Paul Holmes, and I'm Judy LaPorte, and I am going to do the interview.
And where are we, Judy?
We
What
are
date?
at the library in Newbury,
October 15th.
October 15th.
Yeah.
And now, Paul, I want you to say your name, age, when you was year you were born.
Paul Holmes. I'm 71 and I was born in 1953 in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Then when did you come to Newbury?
Newbury, the first time the family came to Newbury was in 1967. The summer of 67. They bought the house. No, they bought the house in the fall of 67, so we came summer of 68. And before that, I was in the harbor. We used to vacation for the month of August in Sunapee Harbor since I was 11. And the interesting thing was there was three families. There was my family, my aunt and uncle, and my family's best friends who were the Phaetons. And the three families hung around together, even in Billerica. And whenever we went on vacation, everybody was close enough so that my parents could all play bridge together.
That's neat.
But so I believe, and I think it's a fact that one time when they were sitting around in Sunapee Harbor playing bridge, they decided that they ought to buy a house. So they bought the Wasseywick Inn in Blodgett's Landing. And the Wasseywick Inn in the main house, had 12 bedrooms.
Oh, my.
3 bathrooms and a shower room, and then an annex with 4 more bedrooms and a bathroom. So there was plenty of room for all three families to live in the same house, and they called that house the family affair. And that's where I came summers from 68 until 1971 when I graduated from high school. I came up here the next day with my mother. And I've lived in Newbury steady since June 11th, 1971. 54 years. And it's the best place on earth.
Did your parents run that as an inn at all? Or was
No,
it just
because
the
there
whole
was
family?
so many of us. As a matter of fact, the first 4th of July we were there, everybody brought their friends up because it was new, and 52 people slept over that night.
Oh, my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was wild. And it was still an inn with the booths and everything, so it was, it was really cool. And it was, on Front Street, the lake was right across the street. We had a permanent dock. So it was great, you take your coffee down the dock, and then we started coming up summers. And one of the most interesting thing about being here in the summer is we had no phone. No TV. And we still had a great time, and it was every Wednesday night we'd go down to the store and there'd be a line of mothers and children calling the fathers down in Mass or wherever they were from. And there was 2 payphones in the landing. And my mother would take us to the store so we could go in and get an ice cream. And then we'd wait in line, and when she got my father on the phone, we'd all say hi to him. And that was on Wednesday nights because it was the middle of the week. But we weren't the only ones there. No, only a few people had phones back then.
And then he came up on the weekends.
He'd come up on the weekends and he'd bring groceries and anything you forgot. And then he'd also come for his 2-week vacation. And the men tried to get their vacations on the same 2 weeks, and they'd work on the place. They'd work like 1 week and then do nothing the next week. But it was interesting.
Oh, I bet you kids just had a ball.
Oh, yeah. And Blodgett's Landing, as you know, is a very unique place. So I met everybody in Blodgett's Landing in 1968. And there's actually Bobby and Faye Burnell. I met them when they were 14. They're my next door neighbors today. And Al Obie on Pine Street. I've known him for 14 years. And he lives still in the Landing. And we grew up together, all of us. And we love it. And It's just a place to be.
Do you remember when there were 2 stores in Blodgett's?
No. But the store, the store across my street we used to be right across the street from my house. Well, and I got to tell you a story about that. You want to ask me questions, or you just want me to
No,
ramble?
keep
Oh,
going.
no, just
Keep
anything,
going.
All right.
yes, keep on.
All right. So here I am here in 1971. Now, I came from a great family in Massachusetts. My father was a cop. My mother was a substitute teacher, steady. So I was brought up Irish Catholic, work, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I came here in 1971, my father, I had already done interviews for AT&T in Lowell, Mass. So I had a job all set up. And I was to go there right after Labor Day, and then that was going to be my life. Well, I was out in front of the family affair playing basketball one day, and a car pulled up, and there was a guy in it. He said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm shooting basketballs. What do you think?" And he said, "Well, they're putting an addition on my house down the street. Would you want to come down and be a laborer?" I said, "Sure." And that guy turned out to be Oliver White, Red White.
Oh.
And that guy, when it came to Labor Day, he said, "Now what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I got to go back, I got a job in Lowell, Mass, and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "I need someone to drive me around and take care of my family when I'm not here. Why don't you become my chauffeur for running me back and forth?" And I'm 17 years old, still wet behind the ears. I'm like, "Sure, I'll do it." So, because I had a recollection of Logan, that's where we picked up my family, all members of our family. So I'd run him back and forth to Logan, and then I'd come home and I'd make sure the driveway was plowed. There was, the family was taken care of. And the interesting thing is that guy, Oliver White, who was a hell of a guy, that next spring, he was also an author, and he would go for a walk, and I'd go with him in case anybody walked up, because he was deep in thought. Sometimes he didn't even know where he was. So we're walking around, and we're going down 2nd Street, which is Washington Street, and he stops, and he says, last winter you rented a house, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah, I went to one of Rob Rogers' houses." "Well, that's a waste of money." I said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Why don't you buy that house right there?" I said, at that time I had long hair, and I'm like, "I'm 18 years old. No bank's going to give me a loan." He said, "If I co-sign, they will." So the house he pointed at, I bought it when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Oh, my word.
In 1972. It cost $8,750. And my payments at the bank were $80.63.
Oh.
Wow.
And that guy, and I worked for him for like 5 years, and he was incredible. He had one of my jobs was to get the mail every day. And of course, he was, he had that vacation home, which you put additions on. He loved the lake. He loved the area. And he bought this beautiful giant jet boat, the biggest jet boat. Jet boats would just come into the lake then. It was when the lake was transferred in the early 70s. The lake kind of went from wood people going by in wooden boats and waving to you for everybody being able to afford a fiberglass boat.
Yeah.
So he gets one that's 24 feet long with the biggest engine you can get. And he gave me he said, "The keys are there if you want to go down and get the mail in the boat." So I'm 18 years old. I'm like, "Yeah." And I'd bomb down from Blodgett to 5 miles by water to the dock and go in and get the mail, and then come out, and there would be Junior Davis on the dock and one of the LeClaire kids. And they'd be like, can you take us for a ride?" I'd be like, "Sure." And I'd take them out, do a couple of whips and everything, and drop them off, and they were just little guys then. I mean, Junior and I are still friends.
I was on the dock then when Junior was there.
Oh, yeah.
Brad and Brian LeClaire and those guys.
And it was just great. The job was great. In the winter, I had to take the daughter skiing, or he would bring clients here. One time I picked a guy up from India, and I brought him up for a meeting. And while he was here, he said, Red said, Oliver White was called Red. He said, why don't you take the guy for a ride on a snowmobile? And I'm like, okay, now remember, I was 18. I'm 18. So I got this guy that's talking Indian. I don't know what he's saying. And I got him on the back of the sled, and I'm taking jumps and everything. And I scared the bejesus out of him. And the next day, Red's mad at me, and I'm like, well, I was 18. I didn't know what he was saying. But it was great, and Red White would bring his plane there and ride around, go around the landing, and invite kids to come down, and they could go for rides in the plane. And he'd have these parties. You used to come some of the parties. Yeah. He was just tremendous, and he was like right at that area of the early 70s when everything changed, because now you could commute. Now you could talk on on telephone, and computers started coming in, so you could actually live here and commute now to Boston and everything. So that was pretty cool. That's what made me stay here. And then 5 years later, I went to work for McBain Nichols in Newport, and worked for them for like 5 years, and then went into a partnership in London, and then I had my own building business, so I pounded nails for about 24 years, and then traveled. Then went into flooring, did that for a while, and then I went into fireworks, and I still dabble in that a little bit.
Really?
I used to shoot fireworks shows all over the place. I've gone to, the furthest I've gone is Paducah, Kentucky, to shoot a fireworks show. And the biggest show I've shot is $110,000 worth on 2 barges off of Hull, Mass. For a woman's 80th birthday back in the 80s and the 90s.
Word.
Wow. That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, but, I got to tell you, when I come down Great Hill and I make that turn into Blodgett's Landing, it's one of the greatest feelings and I still do it to this day. I think about it going down the hill into the landing, how many times I've gone down that road, and it's still, you get that feeling of, you're here and the outside world is out there, and you're here, you're on the lake, and it's just, it's great. And the whole area is great. I mean, everything is, it's cool. But let's go back to buying my house. So you were talking about the 2 stores. The store across the street from me, it was closed when I got my house. So in 1972, I had just gotten the house, and I had taken everything off the walls, and I had that insulation with the aluminum foil on it, yeah, and no walls yet, because it hadn't got that far. Well, the store burns down next door, and I had gotten an Irish wolfhound from somebody in New London that was giving it up. So I'm laying on a bed, and the wolfhound's bothering me, and I'm like pushing it away, and finally I open my eyes. The inside of my house, because of the tinfoil, is glowing bright orange, and the house over there is going like crazy. And I'm like, I'm 18. By myself. I'm like, wow, what do I do? I'm like, all right, I got to call the fire department. And I'm watching as the wires are going down. So I figured, well, they're good going that way, and that's where Red White lived, that way. So I called him, and I woke him up. I called him, and I'm like, my God, there's a fire across the street. What am I going to do? He goes, what are you calling me for? I call the fire department. I'm like, the wires are falling down. So he called, and then we went outside, and the whole front of that store was glass, and the fire was kind of in the back. And me and the 2 guys that I'd lived with the winter before, heard the noise and came up. We're shoveling snow up on my deck and onto my porch roof, trying to keep it because it's hot as hell. And here comes one of Newbury's finest in the fire truck down the road, and the glass blows out. The flame goes across. The fire truck has to back up down the street. And I had rope, people put plastic around the outside of the house, so I had done that, and that was like a wick.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
So the fire starts burning around the house, but luckily they got there, and Hank and the boys got there,
Wow.
and they it got so hot that fire didn't get inside my house, but the furniture started smoldering because it was so hot. But it did burn my front porch off. So 18 years old, I had my fire, got that out of the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just, and there goes that store. So that store was gone.
That was the second store?
Yeah,
So other
that's
store
the
was
one.
there, yeah.
Not Alan Louise. That's the one up by me, up by the corner.
And there wasn't a post office there either.
No, the post office was still there when I was there.
Yeah.
But when you went, you said when you went to get the mail, you went in the boat.
Yeah, because we were getting Hazel ran the post office in Blodgett's, and it was more of you go there and get the Record and the Globe in the morning for a nickel, and it was just we were getting volumes and
Too
doing
much.
volumes. It was too much. It was a lot for her down there too, but
Was Oliver White there year round?
Oh, yeah.
He was. Okay.
yeah, he moved us up the same year I did. Yeah. Another one of my jobs, the girls, they were all from Connecticut, and he had his daughter Peggy was my age, and she'd want to go down, so I'd drive down, and she'd take her to the parties that she wanted to go to, and then I'd drive back while she slept, and it'd be like, oh, but it was great, and they were great. Oliver White's wife Betty treated me like her son, which made it much more comfortable. And my day was, I worked from 10:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, except if I had to take Red, I'd be down, leave early to get him to Boston. But after 3:30, I would stay there and she'd feed me. And so I didn't have to do, so
What a job.
I just had to walk back to one of Rob Rogers' house on 2nd Street. And this is cool. I can remember one night walking back. This is when we used to snow. Remember when it used to snow?
Yeah.
So the banks were really high. Les had been down the road and made a big bank with the town truck. So one night I'm walking back, and once again I'm 18 years old, and I'm something scared me, and I can hear a noise. So I look over the bank and I can see 2 lights coming across the lake. And I can hear a noise, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is that? I don't know what it is. I've never seen anything like that before. And it's coming. And I'm like, I got to make a turn and get up to 2nd Street to get home before they get me, whatever it is. And I get to where I turn to go up, and I start going up a little hill, and I look back, it's 2 snowmobiles. But I'd never seen them at night out there, never in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy Christ, those snowmobiles, you fool.
So Paul, when you were there, when you first moved in there, how many people were there year round?
When I first moved there, Labor Day came in 1971 when I moved there. And all of a sudden, everybody left, and I was in Blodgett's, and I'm like, what do you do now? Well, Danny Wolf had a dog called Brown Dog. It was a retriever, and he was there every day to play stick with. So I played stick with him, and there was only, I'd say, there was Webb Rogers and his wife. There was Alan Louise. There was those 2 there. There was probably the Bourgeois were there then, and I'd say maybe 20 people.
Okay.
And the bus didn't. White's had a daughter that was in grade school, but the bus stopped up the top of the landing. They didn't come down anymore because there was no school kids. So in the winter, when I had a plow on the truck that he gave me, I would make sure everybody could get out. But one interesting thing was the Bourgeois, Phil Bourgeois and Helen Bourgeois, were old when I got there. And he still pounded nails, and he was a Frenchman, and he still had the accent. He was the cutest guy and everything. He was a great guy. Well, in the spring, I've been plowing him all winter, and I never saw him out. So in the spring, I see him, and I'm like, he's that accent, and I said, how was your winter? Oh, good, good, good. I said, well, I didn't see out much. He goes, well, we don't go out in the winter. I'm like, what? He goes, come here. And I go in his garage. It's under his house. And all their food, they'd wash out the jars and the cans, and they're all in the cellar from the whole winter because they're afraid to drive their car. And there was, because of snow and everything, and they've been doing it since they've been in the landing since the turn of the century,
Oh my God.
And it was just like, wow, that's so New England, Yankee.
Yeah.
We can't go anywhere, but if we clean everything out, mice won't come. And that those two, Phil and Joe Bourgeot and Phil Bourgeot built maybe half of the houses on the landing.
Yeah.
So he knew a lot, and he was, a soft-spoken guy, and she did remember when the Argus had the little Newbury thing, you used to write one, didn't you?
Yeah.
And she would write it like, Annie Grace came over and had cake with me this afternoon.
I don't quite do that.
Well,
but-
she did, because that's all that was going on, but it was, and so, once again, 17 going on 18 in November, and there's me and the dog, and it's like, there's absolutely nothing to do.
So what did you do as a 17 and 18?
Well, in the fall, now, like I said, the lake's turning. Well, the guys start. There's a Guy Levine starts skiing on the lake, and he's skiing with Greg Jordan, a guy from the landing, and they put a slalom course down in George's Mills. So on calm days, he'd call me up because he knew he got out through it, so I could drive the boat. And if the weather was right, I would call Greg Jordan in Boston, and he'd leave his office and come up leave early on a Friday, and we'd all get on a slalom course, and I'd back and through the course. And I did that, and otherwise, I'd stay at White's house and mow the lawn,
All winter long, though. You were a young guy, didn't
Oh,
you?
I skied. I skied. The first time I went to Mount Sunapee, I was 9 years old. And I actually worked there 28 winters, from 1975 on.
Doing what?
I loaded lifts. I did, I would go there about this time and do paint and fix some of the lift shack because I was a new carpentry. And then they would put me on lifts for the winter, and it was, instead of standing out framing houses like I used to, freezing my butt off, I was over there, having a great time.
But freezing your butt off.
Yeah, but, you're only out loading for a half hour, and then you're back in the lift shack. And, I got to ride in snowcats and have some fun and did some crazy things and met a lot of people. And, I was shy and went behind the ears, but once you're part of the thing, so it's your job to talk to people, so you did. So it was fun. It was cool. And it was back when the mountain was, a couple, 3 chairs, and Joe DiGilio, he was there, so if I wanted to shop, instead of walking in all these guys I didn't know, he was there in the shop, and he introduced me to everybody, because him and Brenda and his son Joey in the spring would come down to the big dock in Blodgett's and go fishing. And in the spring, when the ice was away and you had smelt and everything, I'd go down fishing. That's how I got to know Joe, except for in the summer you'd go up there to get corn. And
So he wasn't still delivering vegetables.
no, I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that, but it was nothing to bounce up the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And then back then, when I was still in school and coming up for summers, you came here the day you got out of school. When you got here, and I never went to movies or anything. We stayed in the landing and left Labor Day. It was like you were here and you were in the landing, and that was it. There was no I want to go to the movies. And there was none of that. It was like, you're going nowhere.
Did you have summer jobs?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I worked at Blodgett's Lodge when we first got there. You know, it was, like I said, blue-collar families. So you couldn't come and spend the summer. It was, you got to get a job. So I worked in Blodgett's Lodge, which was torn down,
Yeah.
which is right as you came down in the flats. It's where David Goddard lives now. And that was, I washed dishes there. And, you know, I'd get out, and then the guys that I cruised around with in the landing, they'd be waiting for me under the street light. And then the next summer I worked at Lakeside Lodge, which was in Harrods Cove, which is gone. And you could board at that one, so there was some partying going on there. My cousin actually boarded there, but I came home because I liked hanging around the landing. And I actually walked home from there one time in bare feet, and I had blisters on my feet, the sides of my feet. And so I only worked there, I think I worked there 1 or 2 summers. And then it was like, you know, finally my parents gave up trying to make me work because I was getting older. But no, I worked at the lodges.
Did you have a lot to do with the casino?
Well, the casino, as far as the super activities, were like before me. So I got, well, when I first came here, there was still the Cottage Owners Association, but the casino was kind of getting in rough shape. And there was no activities until Red White said, all right, and he threw some money at it, and he had hired a guy to go sit in there, so there was some, you know, supervision. And so you could go in there and play basketball, and they had the covered dish dinner there, and of course, if you went underneath, you could party like crazy. So we were underneath more than anything, or go up on the roof. And you know, it was a great building, and it was cool. And I didn't know they were going to burn it down. I was actually working at the mountain, and someone said, "Oh, there's a big fire in Blodgett's," and of course you're like, "Oh God!" And then of course Joe DiGilio, I called, and he's like, he was there, and I'm like, if there was a fire, he would have been gone. So they burned the casino down. I didn't even know they were doing it. And
Oh my word, that's bad.
it was cool. I mean, there was a lot of firsts there under the casino. It was unique.
Do you have siblings?
Me? No, I never got married. I never had any time.
What about brothers or sisters?
Oh, I got two sisters, Judy and Carol, and my older sister Judy, my younger sister Carol did live here for a while, but my older sister, she's 7 years older than me, so she was already out of college, but she did, you know, come to the landing for, you know, a while, and she'd come up, but they didn't get into it like I did. They were more, you know, come up and swim and do all that and stick around the house. Not where I was outside constantly, and we had the cop in the landing back then. His name was Leo Mallon, and you know, he was after us all the time, but I think it was more of, he could have caught us if he wanted to, like when Biff would come up, Biff Rainey, the greatest cop ever.
Oh, wasn't he wonderful?
Yeah, he'd come up, and he knew we had beer in the woods, and he'd say, "I know it's in there, you want me to come in and get it? You know, you guys, you're making too much noise, stop being idiots." So we'd stop. Because there was no, you know, it was, everything's...
You weren't really doing any harm. So
No, well, you know,
That was Biff. He never bothered anybody
16
then.
years old getting hammered was, you know, maybe stupid, but that's what...
You might not have been the only 16-year-old doing that.
No, I wasn't. But I really enjoyed everything. I'm just going to change this to the other side.
Gotta go in tomorrow to have it.
Well, this side isn't really working that well. So everything's turning to this side. And this just a pain in the ass, you know, but I'm alive, I don't care. So, Leo Malin, it's a funny story. My Irish Wolfhound, you know, back then there wasn't leash law and all that stuff, so my Irish Wolfhound liked to travel. And he liked to use Leo Malin's yard as his bathroom.
Oh boy.
So Leo Malin, he was a cop, but he was a right guy. He was an old guy. And so one day I come home from work and there's buckets of dog dew on my steps, and he had picked it up in his yard and brought it up, put it across my steps. Instead of saying anything to him, he just kind of hinted, you know, that's not the thing to do. And so, you know, he was all right, but they stopped that patrol. When he got done, it was done, and then that was it. We had Biff would drive through every once in a while, and Arthur Jones back then, he was a good guy. And I got to tell you this story. The Shanty Chalet, I'm sure you remember it.
Oh, yes.
Well, there was different people came to the landing and stayed, like guys roughly my age, so they could hang out with. And at this point, there was two guys up from Mass, and they made their camp somewhat livable. It was cold in there, so your water would freeze if you left it on the counter overnight.
Ooh.
But you know, you get it up to 65, and it was all right. But anyway, we went to the shanty one night and got into it. And we're driving home in the pickup truck, and I'm driving. And remember down here, it used to have the triangle, and you can go on the inside. Mm-hmm. So going around the inside, I hit the curbing, and I blow both tires on that side.
Oh.
Now, I know if I stop the truck, we're going to get stuck because they'll spin. So we drove all the way from there to Blodgett's, and it left grooves in the road.
Oh my God.
And the next morning, we didn't park it at my house. We parked it down on Front Street by the boathouses and left it down there. And the next morning, we went down to see how much work we have to do to put tires on it. And Arthur Jones pulls up, chief of police, and he's like, "God damn it." I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "God damn it, you guys, you know, you're driving that truck at night. I know you've been drinking, huh?" And we're like, "Oh, no, we didn't drive. What are you talking about, drive this? We don't even know how it got here." He's like, he goes, "Bull crap, there's 2 tracks in the tire all the way from downtown Newbury all the way to here. I know it's you guys." It's like, okay, we'll take care of it. But that was it, you know. Slap on the wrist. No one got hurt. Oh, another time I went off the road coming home from the same place right before Buddy Fogwell's house. And it was before they left for Florida. Remember when they went to Florida for a while?
Yeah.
So this is way back. And so I go up and I knock on the door. It's after 1 in the morning. And when I hit the bank, I jumped it. So I was in over the other side. And Buck, he had that little Toyota that said "My Toy" on it.
Yep.
And him and I worked together at McBain Nichols. That's how I know him. So he comes down. He's like, "Well, you know him. What the hell do you want?" I'm like, "I went off the road down here. Can you pull me out before the Stadies? Because they cruised around late at night." He's like, "Yeah, I can do it." And he was pulled from the bank with a long chain. Wham, wham, wham. And he finally got me out of there. But
Is there anything left of your car?
Yeah, well, it was my oldest sister's 65 Falcon that I got as a hand-me-down. And so it wasn't, you know, if I got hurt, didn't have to worry about it. But those were some good times. Good times in Newbury, New Hampshire.
How much did you guys interact with other parts of Newbury outside of the landing?
When I was a kid, none. We never left the landing. Except, you know, you'd come down, and we'd definitely come down here when we had our boats. Even when I was, my parents had like an old little fiberglass boat with a little motor on it. And we would come down because when Big Al had the store, Al
Larson.
Albros,
Oh, Albert.
he had that chicken thing in there, that rotisserie.
Oh, yeah.
And those suckers were good. So you come down on the boat, get one of those and a couple 6-packs, and eat the chicken and throw the bones in the lake as you're going up the lake, and have a few beers, and it was like an afternoon treat. And we did that a lot. Plus, Al had everything in that store way back when.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you need screws for something or anything, he had everything, and he was just the nicest guy.
Yeah.
I always liked him. I liked him right up to the end. He was cool guy. But other than that, a big thing was Saturday morning breakfast. So we used to come down. Once we were. This was after I started living here. Saturday morning, you're so hungover, you have to go out and eat, and we'd go there. Or remember over the hill there was that.
Oh, yeah.
Going down the
Old
cut.
wagon wheel.
Old wagon wheels, that was pretty cool. And if you wanted to press the girl, and if you happen to have one, we'd go to the Woodbine over in the harbor.
Yeah.
And that was, actually, we went there quite a bit, but because we could go by boat. We'd go down, jump in your boat, cruise over, and go to the Woodbine. It was elegant. They had the butter with the little things, the copper things you dump it out of. And the omelets were tremendous. And
Yeah, that food
place
was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's too bad why did they get rid of that? The place was so cool.
Well, she retired, of course.
Yeah, the Hill family, but it was. I got to know a lot of people there because summer jobs again. You could go there and peel vegetables, and and guys from the landing for a summer job would go do that. Dishwash or do something. And so when you went to pick them up, you walk over there and everybody that was working the place is out in the driveway, and they're all Sunapee people, and they, the next thing you know, they're having a party up on some hill someplace, and it's like, well, we better go to that one. And then you get to meet someone. Actually, this is a story I was going to write, and I haven't done it yet, but back when you asked me earlier about what it was like when everybody left, well, I had this cool boat, my own boat that I bought. It was 18-foot Tahiti Tiger with a 140 Merc on it with power trim, and it was fast, and it was dangerous and everything. It was great. And I had problems with it, so I had to bring it over to Coles, remember Coles in the harbor. Guy Levine had bought that in Skip Lyons. So I had brought it over there, and the mechanic, his name was Paul McLaughlin, and he was from Framingham, and his aunt had a place up here, and he had just gotten out of high school. So I would hang around with him as he was working on my boat and stuff. And then he eventually got married, and now he had a garage at his house, so he was working on stuff. So I would go there, drink beers and work on a car. Every guy loves doing that. And then all of a sudden, guys are coming to see what you're working. It's like a magnet. So these guys would show up, and I'd get to know them, and they'd say, well, next Friday night, I got this to work on at my house. So I would venture over to like outside of Newport and Sunapee to that garage, and now there's other guys showing up, and they got a project going on. So it's like Friday night, drink beer and work on a car. I mean, nothing like it. So I got to meet all these people around, and Junior Davis, when he lived down here, he'd be working on something. You'd show up there, and then the next time, you're down head. So I'd get to start knowing people at Sutton, and it's actually a premise for a thing I want to write. And I met a lot of people, lots of people.
Why did Junior Davis have that name? He wasn't Junior.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I never asked him either.
Huh.
Junior. And he wasn't Junior.
No.
And when I was on the fire department, Clark was the chief back then.
Oh, yeah.
And that was another thing. Here I am fishing with Joe DiGilio, and he talks me into getting on the fire department. That was really something. And
You
I
didn't
don't-
like the fire department?
No, I enjoyed it, but it was like our trucks were the trucks in Blodgett. There was two of them.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
a 36 pumper and a 45 tanker, which is now Junior's dump truck. That's the old 45 tanker. And I'd be home from the mountain during the week because you'd get days off during the week, and my phone would ring, and it would be one of the women auxiliaries saying, "Oh, there's smoke out on Chalk Pond Road on such and such a street. Can you go and check it out?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm by myself." But the two guys that I hang around with were with me, and they're like, "Oh, we can go on the truck." I'm like, "Well, I suppose you're not supposed to, but if there's a fire there, what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
So I'd go up and I'd jump in the truck and drive down and get there, and it'd be the town, of course, working on the side of the road, burning something. But it was something. We had our meetings on Tuesday nights, and once again, 18, 19 years old, and I got to walk into the firehouse and go upstairs to a meeting where the only person I know is Joe DiGilio, and I don't know if he's up there or not. And it's like, but it's one of those things, and I'm to myself going, you got to do it. You said you would do it, so you got to do it, and you do it, and then you get there, and they're the nicest guys you ever met in the world, and there's, all shaking your hand, and how are you, and now get to know these people, and we had some fires back then, too. We had one on Bowles Road one night, and, they used to blow the sirens. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yes.
So the firehouse is only right kitty corner to my house. So it goes off, and I wake up, and I'm like, all right. So I run up to the firehouse, and Danny Wolf shows up. We kind of speeding in. All right, let's go. We should take the pump truck so we can get set up. I saw the fire on my way here. I'm like, all right. So we take the pump truck and we run over to Cross Beach on Bowles Road. He sends me down there, and he says, go down there and open up that gate, and we'll get going and, get some water. So I do. I get on, open the gate, and he comes down that pump truck and hits the sand, boo, and just, whoa, that's it.
Oh, no.
We stopped right there. He was thinking we could drive across the sand to get to the lake to pump water. So that stuck, and then by that time, the good truck had come from here, and they had the other truck from Blodgett, which only had a little water in it, not a lot. And then, of course, back then, the other towns show up real quick. And that was the first time that I've ever seen the woman auxiliary part of the fire department, and that was cool, whatever they had, cookies and coffees and everything. And, of course, it was total lost house, but it was just a summer house, and stuff like that. It was pretty cool to I remember I wore a Scott Air Pack to go. I went into Peter Page's house when it was burning down in Blodgett. Before a lot of people got there, there was Tiny Kingsman was there with a cigar out on the ice, cutting a hole in the ice to get a line through the ice, because that tanker had the oil had run out the fire station, the water in the tanker froze, so we couldn't pump it, and so I got to the fire first, and Peter Page was there, and it was just behind us where his wood stove was, getting going, and I said, all right, I'll go, we'll get at it, and couldn't do anything. And it was during the day, so not many people were around. And Tiny showed up, and he said, well, God damn it, we got to get one. Remember him?
Oh,
Tiny
yes,
Kingsman.
very well.
So he goes smart, gets a chainsaw out of his truck, cuts a hole out in the ice, and runs a line out so we can get going. And it wasn't that bad. And, of course, I told Peter Page, get the stuff you want out of here, because, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I actually got to wear a Scott Air Pack in a real fire, so that's a great memory that, and going in there and being following the line, and it was, you weren't just a dummy. This is a real fire department.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
a real fire department.
Yeah.
And you know, for the guys that way back then, I still see a few of them around town, but you know, they're all gone now, pretty much.
You must have known Mike Crotto. He was in the fight.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Glock, Mike. I still see him around. He still calls me the wrong name, but
You're kidding.
yeah, that's Junior's uncle.
Oh.
Right? The Corrados, aren't they related to the Davises somehow?
Oh, yes, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clark married a Crotto.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've done a lot of cool things. Jumped off the Harry Cove Lighthouse one time.
You mean way up or
Way up. The top was knocked off and the door was open. And we went down to my boat and someone dared me. So you know, I jumped off the boathouse over some of the rocks in the front. But up there was only this much room to stand on, and I didn't think of it. When I pushed off, it moved. So I just missed the dock coming down. But I did it, and then everybody in the boat's on not to it. And I'm like, well, Jesus, I did it.
I've been on the inside of that.
Oh, yeah. The cribbing.
Inside the crib. And I took a picture of Mount Sunapee from inside when we were rebuilding it.
Wow.
Yeah, they just did a big job on it this summer.
Yeah,
I saw them out
yeah.
there. Did that. Oh, God, we had...
You've had an interesting life.
Oh, the lake is, you know, growing up on the lake is like, it's tremendous.
How many, do you think it's changed a lot, the atmosphere and everything?
You know, certain people you talk to say, oh, it's changed so much. And I'm like, well, I live in Blodgett. You want to see change. I mean, you know, my house is on 2nd Street. And next to me is Faye and Bobby's. They got a really nice house on the corner. Then me. And then that woman from Westford. And she's got a normal house. I redid my house. My old house is inside. I just added on to it.
Yeah.
And there's like there's like Faye's is normal, mine's normal. There's 4 there, and then it goes boom. And then they just sold the Darian's house for an outrageous amount. And then after that, it's boom, big new house. So there's new houses all. And Front Street is like, you know, but the cool thing is, I live around millionaires. You know, people are going by, they'll vote. They got more money than God. It's like, they're all, hey, how you doing? Because that's the thing. Certain people think that from the landing that aren't there, or they're not, you know, they're not out hanging around anymore. Like where I am, there's so many people. If I'm out on my deck, so many people go by all the time.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But if you're up on Pine Street, not many people, they walk my street. So it's hi, how you doing? And I learn who they are and everything. And a lot of them stop and say, oh, I'm related to so-and-so, and so on and on. But, you know, the people who think it's not like it used to be, well, it kind of is, because even though the new people are there and they tear down and build a McMansion, they kind of conform to the way we are, not the way they are. Like when they come down the dock, on a busy day, when you go down the dock, it's like this. And the guy standing next to you can be a billionaire, and you wouldn't know it. He's in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a beer in his hand. Yeah. It's like,
So
hey,
it
how you doing?
has a bit of the same feeling.
Yeah, and they're like, well, this is what it is. You know, everybody knows everybody, and I mean, in the morning, they line up to walk dogs with each other. At 7 in the morning, they're out there walking the dogs, and the leader of the pack is the guy that's out on Cressy Point, and that guy owns Budweiser.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that guy. He'll come over in the afternoons when somebody's having like a little get together in their backyard, and show up, and then he invites you over there, and it's like, holy mackerel! I mean, that place.
Is that Sadowski?
I don't know his last name. I think it's John. I think you're right. But that guy's cool, and he loves his dog, and he likes to
So
chat.
you find everybody friendly.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. If they aren't, then. I mean, the people that are jerks. The people that are jerks. They're
Let me get it for you.
the people that are the idiots. They don't last because there's nothing for them to do. I mean, you can have all the fun you want, and there's another thing. Like I was 18 years old and I had a house, so of course I partied. But at 10 o'clock, that was it, because someone would get pissed off. I wasn't out there with speakers at midnight or anything, and no one was. Even the parties we've had recently with bands and stuff. We tell the cops 10 o'clock, that's it. And they're like, okay, we'll be by. And it's like, okay, and that's it. And, there's a respect. And, more, I mean, the new people are all, it's fine, it's fine. Some of the houses got torn down. I was like, you could have invested in them. Yeah. I mean, the Castle House way down the end that the people tore down 2 years ago, that was beautiful, and it was beautiful inside, and the woman had put a lot of money into it, but it's gone, and
kind of hard to see that, isn't it?
Yeah, but then the new house is there, and it's nice, and the people, they had bought the store, but the store, Alan Louise's store, wasn't good enough for them, so they had to get on the water, and they got on the water, and they thought they were going to cut all those big pine trees down, but no, that ain't happening. So so there was a little of this, but because everybody likes the pine trees.
Yeah.
And it's everybody. Everybody walks around. Everybody. So you see certain things, and I think the people that bitch about the new houses don't know the people that are in the houses. Because if you knew the people in the houses, because the people that just built it's kind of bluish purple, the thing is beautiful. They have one of those sliding doors that slides to the side. That door costs like almost $30,000. And it's I see them on TV and stuff, and they didn't get the small one. They got the one it's called Open Concept or something, and it is cool. And now those people are the nicest people. They when her brother or someone, they're out in front playing beer pong. I mean, they got to be cool. They're having a good time. That's what the place is about. Have a good time. Even the like the English guy, he doesn't say too much, but when he walks by, he'll say hi, and in the accent and everything, and how you doing, and so it's he wants to be left alone, so you don't you're not down in front of his house doing stupid things. You just leave him alone, like he was painting a window on his second story, and I leave early in the morning, and I drive by and I see him leaning out the window paint because he's afraid to go up a ladder. So obviously he's trying to do it. And I didn't make a comment. I'm not afraid to say anything to anybody. So it's like, back in the day, I'd go up there and paint that way for $20. Oh, I got it, no problem. But
he was painting the window from inside out.
Yeah, because he's afraid of the height. He was on the second story. Yeah, but there is, it is cool. You got to, there's just money all over the place there now, and it's
It
not
may
going
be
to
that
stop.
people that aren't friendly wouldn't buy a house in such tight quarters.
Well, see, like the people that own the store, the people with the pine trees, they pretty much stay because they're on the quiet end.
Oh.
So from my house, where the public dock is, Post Office Street, back to the casino is the noisy end. The quiet end goes from there down, because all the traffic people come in just to see what Bloods is like. They turn up that road, they never go down there.
Yeah.
So I grew up on the quiet end, and then I had to meet the people on the noisy end, and then I moved to the noisy end.
What happened to your family's house down on the quiet end?
It took, well, when my mother died in 84, I believe, or 86, and my father wanted out, so he got paid to get out of his third, and then my uncle left, and one of the family's sons that I grew up with and went to high school and everything, he bought everybody out, and he's still there.
He's still there. Okay.
And he tore it down and built his own McMansion there, but it's huge, but it's not like the new ones. It's kind of oldish looking. And he grows all his own. He has tomatoes, more tomato plants than you ever seen. And he has a garden, a big garden, and he cans and does all that stuff. And he's constantly doing stuff. And he's cool. And his father used to do it too. And his father was part of the whole scene that brought me here. He was too. We were in Boy Scouts together, and we came up here one winter with his father and spent the weekend up here. And there was the heat in the old family affair was just remember those coil oil heaters that you lit?
Yes. Oh, yes. We
The
had two.
Wasseywick went in, had one of them, and there was no insulation, and just barely some insulation in the bottom. And when I was a junior and senior in high school, I had a car, so me and my cousin Joey would come up skiing, and we would spend the weekend in that house. And we would light that oil thing on Friday night, and when we left on Sunday, it would be up to about 42 in the house.
Oh, gosh.
So it was as cold outside as it was inside, but leave your jacket on and party, and we skied with like 13, 14 people that came up weekends from Blodgett's, and it was great. You skied all day and got beer and wine and partied in that house freezing cold, and back then it was like what you did, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Judy, I'm a little sensitive to the time because I don't want the video to get so big it's hard to put on the website.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd especially like to tell us?
Let's see. We went over the special people. Red White, very special to this town. Biff Rainey, very special to this town.
That's right.
He was the cop, and I'll tell you one more story. I was coming home from Newport, and I was a member of the Foresters Club over there, so it had a few brewskis. And I was with my partner at that time was Wade Cooper from New London. He had a Corvette, and I had a '68 Roadrunner. And we came across John Paul Flat and got into it. So we're racing, and Biff was in the shanty parking lot, and it was stone back then, not macadam. So we went around the traffic circle, probably at 70, 80 miles an hour, and hit it again and went by the shanty. And Biff was sitting there, and he hits the gas, and he's blowing rocks and everything, and he's chasing us. And right where Knollwood Inn was on 103A, there used to be a dip in the road that they took out, and you could get airborne if you were going fast enough. So I'm right behind the vet, and we're flying. And Biff went over that, and later on he told me, the car went off the ground. Jesus Christ, I thought I was going to get killed. Anyway, Wade lived in New London, so I turn into Blodgett's, and I go home, and I park my car, and I run into the house, and I knew someone was coming, so I'm squirting toothpaste in my mouth, so I'm not going to get in trouble. So I'm sitting in the house, and I look out, and the New London Cruiser pulls up outside. It's George Langwasser, who lived in the Landing and wasn't a London cop, but he was strict. And he gives me a couple toots and yells, "Hey, I know you're in there, come on out." So I come out, and he says, "What have you been doing today?" And I said, "Nothing. Been here all day. Why?" He goes, "Bullshit. The hood of your car's hot enough to cook an egg on." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know why." He goes, get in my cruiser. And I knew enough not to get in the back seat because you can't get out. So I got in the front. So him and I are sitting there, and I'm like, what's going on? He goes, don't worry, the arresting officer will be here in a minute. He's in New London making sure your friend's in jail. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then, remember Newbury had the station wagon cop car?
Yep.
The green one? So Biff pulls in with that and backs up. And he comes to the window to Langlois, and he looks over and tells me to get in the front seat of his cruiser very loudly. So I do, and they talk for a minute, and Biff gets in the car, and he, gets himself settled. He's a big guy. He says, God damn it, Holmesy, you could have killed me. I can't take this. You guys are out of control. And he just, with the side of his, just whacked me right in the face. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. He's like, Jesus Christ, I could throw you in jail. Isn't that enough for you? And I'm like, yeah, that's enough. But he let me go.
Oh my God.
And he was great. He was a great guy. Great.
Well, that's a great story to end on, I think. The
Okay.
big story.
When you hit the red button.
Paul, thank you